All right, today um, our students are going to be introing into chapter 8 in the fundamentals. Um, the fundamentals. And so what we're going to do, we're going to proceed over to skincare treatments. Under facial treatments is where we'll begin. Again, this is a part of our apprenticeship course. This is an intro to chapter 8, facial treatments. And so as we begin, we'll move into the live recording for observation and study time at a later date. All right. And so as we look into facial treatments, one thing I also have to reference is a key chapter for Tennessee, which means on our aesthetics PSI exam, there's a significance of facial treatment study. Okay. So this is a key area along with chapter 10 that we will reach out into. So from chapter 6 to chapter 10 has to be a major focus on some of the key components of what you'll possibly see on your exam. So when you're going back and studying, make sure you're referencing 6 to 10, following the objectives and matching them to the PSI bulletin. All right. Let's look at some of the learning objectives for chapter 8. If you're in your textbooks, it's going to be page 297. And as we look here, we have about 12 of those objectives, and then we'll prepare to explain the importance of facial treatments. But just look at some of the objectives. Explain the importance of facial treatments as the foundation for all skincare services. This is your key first question in all chapters. I do not have to say every chapter that we jump into. What's due at the end of the chapter is going to be your check-in questions. So please make sure that your check-in questions are done and they're turned in at the appropriate time. Also, in references to your SEMA, you want to make sure you reference the flashcards and also the videos and rubrics and protocols. Okay, so those are going to be some key elements in all of our chapters that we will review. Number 2, describe the benefits of a facial treatment. What are the key benefits of facial treatment? I want you to professionally be able to give me 3 benefits of a facial treatment. This is also going to help in our communicating for success and in our business chapters. Because why are you telling someone that they need a facial? You're not going to give me the benefits. Tell me why I need the facial. So I need at least 3 of them memorized. Okay. And then number 3, list the essential skills needed to successfully perform facials. What do you need to be successful? Okay. Number 4, perform the facial setup procedures. Your setup procedure is going to set you up for a great service. Number 5, explain the key steps of the basic facial treatment. Okay. This is something that you're going to see over and over again. These are the basic facial treatment steps, and then you're going to add on to them, so it becomes like you're here, and then you will start to perfect, you'll start to add different things that are needed for every client, okay, for each client. Number 6, describe how to consult clients on home care. So you're going to do some education as well. Discuss variations of the basic facial. There are many different types of facials, and you must have a great understanding of this because this is the way that you can customize. Again, I use that word customize and tailor facial treatments to each client. Number 8, outline the treatment goals for 6 skin types, conditions, such as dry, dehydrated, mature, sensitive, hyperpigmentation, and oily skin. So you have to have a clear understanding of all of these and also what is best, what's commonly used, what are some of the great ingredients from chapter 6 for each one of these. I tell people all the time, I study the issues, the problem going on with someone's hair, skin, and nails, because I study the issues. I'm always researching ingredients. I'm always researching medications, the cause of it. I want to get to the bottom of it, okay? And how do we overcome this? And so, if you could be that solutionist for your clients, you're always going to have a clientele. All right. You'll never be without a client. Trends will come and go, but someone who is rooted in skincare, rooted in hair care, rooted in finding out what's the problem, and then this is how we treat it, that person will always have a client. Number 9, describe acne facials. In order for you to describe acne facials, you have to understand the grades of acne. You have to understand what causes acne. All right. And then you have to study treatments of acne. All right. And so if you're going to describe acne facials and you come into contact with a client that has some acne going on, you got to find out what level of that is. Okay. What caused it? So you have to have a skilled concern in consultation, conversation, building a rapport. You got to be good with people opening up to you and being honest. And this is where we want them to be the most honest and transparent as possible, because we literally need to find out what's happening inside that's causing our outside to react this way. Number 10, perform an acne treatment procedure. Okay. What was our solution? What did we choose to do? How do we do it and why? I always know your why you're performing something. Number 11, discuss men's skincare treatment option, because men's skincare or grooming services have now run the race, okay? And they are almost neck and neck if you're a numbers person as far as women purchase services. All right. And so you're looking at not only facial treatments being more so catered to women, it is now a service that could be catered to the family. Okay. Because you can customize it. And numbers are saying, yes, our youth numbers are rising, grooming men's numbers are rising, and of course, women's numbers are rising as well. So you are not just catering to one person of the family, you can broaden your services, okay, your menu across the whole family, and then perform the facial treatment procedures. You got to show up. You can talk the talk, but we got to show up. As we begin to break down those objectives, you will see as we go through each chapter, there'll be highlighted components. These highlighted components are for you to return in the future for studying. You'll be using these highlighted components to reference questions and tests. All right. All right. So as we explain the importance of facial treatments, getting to our first objectives, you'll see highlighted. It says, once considered luxuries, regular facials and skincare maintenance are now regarded as necessities by many for skin health as well as stress reduction. All right. And so now you're looking at facials instead of being what we thought was more so catered and luxury, and you have to have this and that. It is now mainstream. Okay. You have more people concerned about how they look, their appearance, and even overall the healthiness and well-being of the skin and the body. Okay. It says facials offer two benefits at the same time. Remember, I told you need to know benefits of the facial. Okay. Now, it results in noticeable improvements in the skin's texture and appearance while offering a relaxing experience. Okay. There are core introductory treatments, which is what we have in our traditional school, traditional textbook. It is just the beginning. Okay. But there's so many things. Once you get the foundation, you can continue to catapult to the top with advanced theory and education. It says facial treatments are the core introductory treatments that estheticians perform that lead to other more advanced and results oriented treatments, okay, which in turn result in repeat appointments and the building of a solid client base. One thing that I've learned that I can pull back from Being honest and transparent, showing them what this is what we have today. I want you to feel the skin. Um, Tune into their senses. I want you to see this. I want you to feel the skin. Okay. I want you to explain it. What does it look like? What does it feel like to you? And then after performing the services or introducing a new product to the menu, to the actual treatment. And I asked them again, now feel your skin. What do you feel is the difference? How does it feel? How do you describe that new feeling? And so, with that, I'm just simply building confidence. I'm building confidence within myself, and they are building confidence in the treatment and the services, and even now in the products because they're able to see and feel the difference. All right. So, I really just started to coast them into purchasing the facial treatment and also the retail products available for that treatment home care. It says the basic facial treatment procedure is covered here. Okay. There are many different types of facials and methods. You are going to learn foundational, and I will push you to continue to move forward. Okay. It is one of our check-in questions. This is estheticians should study and have a thorough understanding of facial treatments because I'm highlighting that in green because this is foundational. If you're going to tell somebody you're an esthetician, of course you know how to do a facial. Of course you understand all things facials. Okay. Then you're going to provide education and consultations on how the skin works. So it's more than just doing the skill. A lot of people, a lot of social media, you find people selling product or selling service. Okay. Many people are visual. They learn the skill, but do they understand what's going on? What organs are we touching? Okay, what's the layers of skin that's being manipulated? What products? What's ingredients? What's going on with the follicle? What's happening here? You got to have that core understanding of how things works. And for you, the largest organ of the body is what you need to explain. You should be talking about that all the time because your job as an esthetician is to keep that magnificent, keep it beautiful. This is the first thing that people see. Okay. So you are all things skin. You should know everything about it. All right. What happens when the foods that you eat, what happens to it then? The lifestyle you choose, what happens to it then? When it starts to age, what happens to it? Okay. What about the environment, your jobs? Okay. So everything going forward should be about the skin. All right. Should be about the skin. And then when we look at facial treatments, let's focus on creating an ongoing program to help reduce the appearance of skin concerns such as oiliness or fine lines and wrinkles, while also engaging the client in a daily maintenance program with long term benefits to achieve well balanced skin throughout their life. So, at the end of the day, our core job is to make sure that they understand why these facial treatments are important. Okay. Why? You have to have an understanding in order for a person to understand something. It makes them easy. It becomes easy. So, whatever barriers or hassles that they have, reservations about skincare, your job is to dissolve those barriers. Okay. Become relatable where they can answer questions and you can answer them effectively. You're having confidence in what you're answering. Okay. And it says many estheticians use the terminology skincare treatment to imply that their service is more clinical based and it's not focused on relaxation. Okay. Rather, it includes more advanced technologies to yield more corrective change in the skin. So, many individuals saying skincare treatments is going to be a little bit more advanced than just a basic facial. Okay. So, watch your words, just watch our terminology as we begin to soar into the field of aesthetics and building great communication skills with our clients. Now, remember, this was an objective describing the benefits of a facial treatment. I did state that I need you to understand three of those benefits of a facial treatment. Okay. And remember that the facial is defined as a professional service designed to improve the appearance of the facial skin. Isn't that something? Designed to improve the appearance of the professional skin. Okay. It says this typically includes deep cleansing. Okay. The basic facial. Okay. It is a professional service designed to improve the appearance of the skin. It typically includes deep cleansing, such as extractions, hydration, massage, masks, or mild peels. Okay. Depending on the skin type or what's going on with the skin, possibly use of skin treatment machines, and finally, the applications of serums, moisturizing sunscreen. I call that the Holy Trinity that's usually used at the end. So it's always amazing. Okay. Facial should be customized for each individual client. Each client is different. Okay. Each client is different. You will have no two clients that are alike. You can have a generalized type of skincare, but at the end of the day, no two clients are going to be alike. All right. No two clients are going to be alike. Facial should be customized for each individual client by choosing the correct products and ensuring the protocol steps implemented are appropriate for that client, which means sometimes we get a little ahead of ourselves. You should be knowing what's going on with that client's skin, what they can take and what they cannot take. Okay. If something is a process, what are our first steps towards beautiful, amazing skin? And then where do we go from here? All right. So you will begin to create these treatment plans. And because you have a thorough understanding of skin care and how the skin works, you're able to put these plans in perspectives in their own perfect timing. Okay. It says a thorough pre-treatment skin analysis will provide information on what protocols to use based on the client's individual skin type and concerns. So when we talked about chapter 5 in the fundamentals, there was the skin analysis. We're seeing it again. Okay, you're going to see the skin analysis throughout a lot of things in this particular textbook. And so we're referencing skin analysis again over in facial treatments. Now, let's take a close look at the benefits. We have a number of benefits, but I want you to memorize beginning 3. Because when you're introducing yourself and you tell them who you are, where you're from, and what do you do, all right? And then someone says, so what is an esthetician? What's specialized in treatment of the skin, especially facials, so on and so on. And you say, a facial? It's like, yeah, let me share with you the benefits of a facial. And so it's just part of your marketing strategy. 3 benefits, and then based on what's going on with their skin, you can allow more. You can push the conversation to what will be great for their skin, and until having them come in, book a consultation or book an appointment, you're just engaging and building clientele. I'm going to save this page 299 because it is something that you will refer back to many times. All right. So facial treatments include the following benefit. It deep cleanses, it exfoliates. Exfoliation means removes dead skin cells. Okay. So you want the skin to breathe. It increases circulation and detoxifies. Okay. Relaxes the senses, nerves, and muscles. Slows down symptoms of premature aging, which is key, addresses conditions such as dryness, oiliness, and redness, softens the appearance of wrinkles in aging skin, and helps lessen the appearance of blemishes and minor acne. So it's going to start to reduce those things, okay? Provides access to esthetician expertise for at home skincare maintenance. So you're going to talk about products. You're going to begin your retail journey, and you're going to talk about you just give them a little education on what they should be using, why they should be using it, and then supporting skin health and making good lifestyle choices. Okay, so you become that connection to beautiful skin. All right, you become a trusted authority. All right, so you're sharing these benefits, but it's just increasing your rapport that you will have with the client as well. Okay, it's very important that we understand the benefits, but it is equally important that we understand our scope of practice. So, based on what state you're in, your state board will set these rules that will regulate what you can do and what you cannot do. Many of us see social media and you see many people using different things. They get the likes, the followers. You're like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And a lot of times I see overuse of um, apparatus, techniques, machinery, just the overuse or combination of they're doing the same thing while we're doing too much. And so a lot of times people are out of line and out of their scope of practice. So you should understand what's your scope of practice. You say, Ms. Cost, what is scope of practice? What your state allows you to do. Okay? All because you see dermaplaning over here in Phoenix, Arizona doesn't mean dermaplaning is approved in Tennessee. So learn the scope of practice, okay? Each person should learn their scope of practice in whatever field that they're professional in, and do not go outside of that scope of practice because you could be penalized, okay? All right. And so also it's very important that an esthetician is not a skin doctor. Okay. You're not a skin doctor. A skin doctor is a dermatologist. So we cannot diagnose anything. Okay. We cannot diagnose anything. And there are limited things that what the doctor says going on with the skin, we cannot treat. All right. So please know again, we work well with dermatologists. It's good to have that client consultation and those skin analysis. Always frequent them with your clients so we can have an understanding. I'm not over promising anything because it may be out of my scope of practice. Okay. This is facial treatments in conjunction with proper medical care can provide a holistic approach to proper skin maintenance. And so a lot of times I have to introduce to my students there's aesthetics, skincare, and then there's also wellness, which is an overall well-being holistic approach to just the beautification and healthiness of the body. All right. And so it depends on whether you want to combine the two to create treatments, but additional consultation will be needed. And definitely, I would say we definitely have to go there to find out what are some treatments we're able to do and what we're not able to do. We have to have that gray understanding, and it's not a gray area. It should never be blurred because when I talk about some of the dangers, I am talking about some legal responsibility. Okay. So please make sure we're not jeopardizing our careers and licenses to perform a services we have no origin of, no background to do. All right. So it's a list of essential skills needed to successfully perform facials. I'm going to highlight in yellow. Says in order to become a successful esthetician, you must master certain skills as well as exemplify, okay, certain essential qualities that make a great esthetician. All right. And so I'm going to highlight this. It says one that is qualified and professional. That is, yes, qualified and professional. I want you to be knowledgeable, licensed, and professional. All right. And so that's a lot of times. So, what separates me from someone who's just doing facials in their home? They're just watching social media or YouTube University. They don't have the insight, the instructional insights. Okay. They don't have a deeper knowledge base of what's going on. They're not understanding contraindications and what's going on with the skin. They're probably not using professional products, and most professional products will provide education, okay, to go right along with that. And some skills have to have a certification for you even to use the skills or use the machinery. All right. So we want to make sure that we're following up with, we're just not, our head is not just not in the clouds, that we're performing great services and we're popular, but we also have a great knowledge base as well. When to use and what to use. Making sure our customer service and we have proper communication skills are going to be essential as well. Okay, let's look at some exceptional skills. knowledge of skin histology. So, what is the skin made of? That is your major organ. It is the largest organ of the body. Okay. And it is what estheticians work with the most. So we should know the skin that we're in inside and out. Okay. Without any objections, inside and out. If we don't know anything else, we know this skin. So that means continuous study and advanced training, even after this chapter, even after your licensure, continued study because this thing evolves over and over and over again. Okay. You have to have a great understanding of skin analysis. All right. Surveying the skin, customer communication. You got to know the questions to ask because here's the thing routinely, we can just ask the same questions. But based on our clients' answers, it will tell us what questions go next. Should we pull another question in? And it helps us really understand what's going on with the client's skin, just being very transparent and using all of that information you're retrieving to make sure that you're performing an awesome and amazing service for the client that actually benefits the client. You're just not doing cookie cutter services, but you're actually building something customizable just for the client. Okay. Having a great knowledge of contraindications, and many individuals say, what are contraindications? If you're ever in doubt, that is a reason. That is a reason why we're paused. If you're ever in doubt, I tell people all the time, you cannot just go in and perform services that you have seen. You may perform them well, but you must know what you're touching. Everything is a cause and effect. If I put this on the skin, what will happen? Or if I'm looking at the client's skin and I look at this analysis and I see these symptoms, could they get the service? Could they not get a service? Should I move forward with partial of the service? So you would need to know contraindications. If there's ever a shadow of doubt, can we perform the service or can we not perform the service? Okay. It's good to know technology advances. You know, we're in the age of AI, artificial intelligence. It is changing every industry. I urge you to find out how is it changing your industry? Okay, how is it changing aesthetics? How is it changing beauty? Are we able to intertwine the two? All right. And when it comes to technological advances, I'm looking at studies of ingredients and products and benefits to the skin. I'm also looking at legal ramifications of using certain products. Are we looking at products and ingredients sourced from other countries? What does the US think about it? What's going on with this particular product in Korea? And just a lot of different references. And when we talk about machinery, equipment, advanced topics, this is where we have a lot of technological advances come from. And so doing the service is just not simply what you're here for. If you get an esthetician license, I'm just going to do facials. There is so much more that you can do if you apply yourself and start to learn things that may be outside of the box. And so it's traditional facials, but what if you take that up 5,000? Take that up 5,000 notches. What does it become then? Now that you know that specialized premium ingredients that these new vehicles that ingredients travel through, and you understand how skin reacts to products and ingredients, and you understand that this machine that it does A, B, and C. And whereas if I wasn't using machine, it would take me 20 to 31 days to feel to see some improvement. So you gotta understand that technology is consistently moving. It's consistently moving, and we have to be there with it. Okay. Also, having an emphasis on understanding massage. Okay. Massage techniques and your touch, pressure, and flow in a facial are valuable parts of the skills. And so that's something you should always be honing. And we talk about honing our craft. Okay. When we're not working, we should be reading something, we should be practicing something, especially our temperament, our facials, our massage. It's always something that can be done. And it really benefits us in the long run. You building your communication skills, as we talk about communicating for success, you talking to your clients one on one is a great start to you mastering retail sales techniques. You have to start the conversation. And then when you have a complete knowledge of what's going on with the skin, when, and understanding of products and chemicals and procedures, now you can start to educate the clients on what their skin needs, not what they want, but what their skin needs. Okay. And once you understand products, ingredients, and understand skin and how it works, you'd be it'll easily come out. It easily, you won't have to press or look for anything or have any fluff. You'll also almost just spit it out when it comes to, oh, you need this. You should find a product of this. I have this. Okay. Mastering retail sales techniques. One thing that I think has died a little bit in the beauty industry is retail knowledge. So I'm glad to see this mastering retail. I'm gonna put a save to this bookmark to this page, but mastering retail sales techniques. If you could, you know, just say, hey, every client that comes in must also purchase retail. I'm gonna customize a retail package related to what that person needs to take care of their skin. Okay. And that is going to come in, it's going to be customizable, it's going to be a go. So I'm not only going to see my increase of my stream of income come from servicing, but I'm also going to see a heightened level of income from retailing. All right. And when I tell you retail products, retailing your products pays the bills. Okay. Pays the bills. And I tell people all the time, I used to challenge myself to retail, had a goal every week. If I didn't meet it by Friday and Saturday, I knew Friday and Saturday was all about increasing my retail numbers. All right. Because my retail numbers pay my booth rent. I could, as a young lady, I could do what I wanted to do with the other money. Okay. And so I'm just picking up that same momentum as well and trying to install it into my students is this retail, retail, retail. You got to make sure they have what they need in order for them to help you with what you're doing. Okay. Let's look at ongoing education. So, yes, this is a basic. Yes, this is the beginning. But when I tell you ongoing education has to be a part of life, and I tell students all the time, every quarter you should have some type of training. Okay, certification, sit in a class, a webinar, go to a trade show, a conference. Every quarter, that's every 3 months. And now that we have just different revelations and studies out about skin that we didn't know last year or the year before, you definitely want to stay relevant and you want to be known as someone that really engulf all of the knowledge that you take in about skincare and you love your clients. That's why you're going to learn this about this skin type. You're going to have to keep training yourself. You're going to have to push yourself, challenge yourself, motivate yourself to learn more, more, and more. This is only the beginning. Okay. But if you want to specialize in clients who dealt with cancer, what do you want to specialize in? Individuals of Fitzpatrick's 4 to 6. What do you want to specialize with? Individuals that deal with acne. There are so many specialty areas for esthetician that advanced training, that continued ongoing education has to be a part of your plan for the future. Okay. There are so many avenues and teaching aids from social media to webinars to teleconferences to, of course, YouTube University, and then also in-person conferences as well, and then educational class from the manufacturers you purchase your products from. And so all of that should be a part of your final cost, what you offer, your menu building, all of that should be components, okay? And then just focusing on continuing educations, there are bigger and things to look at other than just basic education, okay? And so there's many more things to look at. I'm gonna save this page. I'm bookmarking this page, ongoing education, because there's highlighted references here that I want you to look back on, and they would reference questions from your study guide. All right. Let's look at key elements of client interaction. Okay, you're going to focus on the client. You want client comfort. The first step toward a professional approach is your skill in client interaction. So you got to build your rapport. You have to build your rapport. You got to have check this. Basically, let me tell you, just check yourself first. Okay. First of all, your presentation. How do you look? Okay. I tell my students all the time, make sure that first impression is the lasting impression. All right. This is not only a customer, you want this person to be a client. A client returns for more services. It returns. We pay our bills on the activity of clients, not customers. Okay. And so you want to make sure that backstage, before you come to the center stage, as you servicing the client, that you are presentable, okay? Whether in clothing, speech, hygiene, you want to make sure you're presentable in a great way, okay? You also want to make sure that you are having conversation and the necessary conversations and um, your voice and tone, the variations. You want to make sure that your attitude is in a great and amazing place. We don't want you coming in all blue, all sad and down and depressed. You're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. I come to get a facial and I come to relax because I have the weight of the world on my shoulders outside of the spa. Why would I come in and let a person who's being affected by the weight of the world do my services? When you touch me, there's something that happens. Um, Holistic healing happens because you have to touch my nervous system, my neck, spinal column, my head, my décolleté, all of the full of nerves. In those areas are transfers of energy. Okay. So if you're not 100% at your best, I don't want you to touch a client. You have to come out and you have to compartmentalize every problem that you have, because if you don't, you would carry over to your client. And now your client has unnecessary discomforts because you've transferred the energy over to them, okay? And they can't relax. And one thing, people come for the experience, and relaxing is the number one cause of individuals saying, I would be back again because I was so relaxed. They didn't care how good you did the service or that you used this product. It's how you made them feel. All right. So we have to master making sure our problems, our issues do not come inside of the spa, that we don't carry them around. And ultimately, we are there to make the client feel amazing. And remember, clientele is built on experiences. Okay. You want to make the most amazing experience for each and every clientele. All right. You want to build loyalty with them. All right, be considered. Make sure your attitudes check. Sometimes we got to check ourselves, and even our personal, what some would say, home training and things of that nature. What does our manners look like? Do we speak when we come into a room? What are our mannerisms look like? Are we respectful of others? Are we using colorful words where we could have easily just not said those words? And remember, you're gonna attract your clientele, so you want some peaceful, some manageable, some very relaxed, chill clients. You have to show yourself in those manners as well. Okay. First, we want to make sure we focus on the client. You want to be genuine. okay, in concern. That's why we should work on our transparency, our conversation. You have to build a rapport with them. All right. Give the client your full attention at all times, which means we're not scrolling social media. We're not on our phone. We're not texting while they're talking. Okay. Final, your spa will probably tell you no phones in the treatment room. Okay. And then ask the client what their skin concerns are and be involved. Listen to them. All right. The client comfort, help the client to relax by speaking in a quiet, professional manner. Provide a professional atmosphere and work efficiently, which means it should be no one interrupting their service. Okay. Your music, you thought about every absolute thing. Remember treatment room, chapter 7, before this client even comes in. And when they come in, you're channeling their senses. So it should be just a place of relaxation. All right. Make sure the client is comfortable. Proper beds and chairs are important as well. And please note weight requirements, weight management when it comes to what your bed can hold. And so if you have certain clients, you need to have things posted. And also just as you move into a professional atmosphere, there are companies that specialize in larger beds or holding more weight. You want all clients to be comfortable. Okay. You're always going to wear disposable gloves. They want to see you as infection control. That is what we are making sure absolutely in the salon and spa that we're practicing. We want to make sure that we look presentable, okay? But our nails are smooth. There's no regulation on nail length or size, any of that. But we want to make sure we don't poke the clients in the eye. You don't want to scratch your clients, and so no hangnails, anything of that nature. And we are wearing gloves, okay? Rings, bracelet, things that make noises. We are removing those. If the client has those on, you want to put them in a safe area and beware of the touch and the amount of pressure you apply to the face. Okay. And so that's why we continuously work on our massage and just punctuation when it comes to services, timely manners, things of that nature. We want to inform the client about what's going on with their skin, what do they need versus what do they want, offer any educational consultation that they may need, product knowledge, explain the benefits of the products and the service, why they should upgrade to this service and why they don't qualify for that, why they need more of this. And so this is where the education comes in. This is also where you build rapport and clients begin to trust you as a trusted beauty professional. Be digitally organized and skillful. Make sure that you are following protocol, okay? That your items are clean, you're in order, you're doing your procedures as you should, you're just not all over the place. And so you got to make sure there's discipline and patience in that as well. And so now your learning skill is coming forth and you're presenting the service. Okay. As we look into performing the facial setup procedures, there's going to be a reference always to chapter 7 because that's the pre-treatment classroom. Okay. But also using the following resources to prepare for client treatments, you will reflect back to chapter 5. You said, because we're in chapter 8. Yes, but every chapter builds you up to get to this point. Okay. So chapter 5 and chapter 7 are great aspects of you preparing to do actual facial services. Okay. In chapter 5, you're going to review the contraindication information. Also, chapter 5, you're going to review the skin analysis. From 5, and I told you before, 7 through 10 are going to be great components for you to study when it comes to the PSI exam. All right. And this is where we say time is money and money is, currency. And it's a lot of times it really messes a lot of people up when people say, well, I'm not making the money. Sometimes I go back to what services, your menu, are you ever on time? Are you performing these services in a timely manner? Someone even told me yesterday about getting a service and it took them 3 hours and it was just a basic facial. And so I'm just like, why are we taking 3 hours just for basic skincare for average normal skin type? What is going on? And they said the young lady was just not organized. And so that's something you want to think about. Does that client really have 3 hours? And so, and it didn't come out the way the client wanted. You know, it was all right. It was not a level that you would say, okay, I see the value, I'm going to pay for this service. And so it was not valued for the time that was wasted. And remember, time is one thing you cannot get back. So please be cautious of your client's time and how long it takes you to perform the service. We want to make sure that we're prepared for the clients 15 to 30 minutes before they arrive. Okay. And as they arrive, it should only take about 5 to 10 minutes to get them checking consultation forms, especially if they're a return client. First time, maybe about 15, and then moving them over into the treatment room. What we don't want to do 9 times out of 10 is bring the client through the door straight to the treatment area. There needs to be a pause in between to make sure that we have all the signatures we need, we signed what we need, and then we'll continue to move on after that. Okay. In meeting and greeting the clients, all of this, remember, this is going to be your career. And so some of you would say, yeah, I've seen this again. But everybody is not a hey, what's up type of client. Okay. So you have to find you. And so going into a spa and working there, learn what the lingo is, study how they greet clients when the clients come in, study. Your job is to really go A to Z with that business because you want to flow right in. All right. So you're going to study how they greet clients, how they close out clients, how they walk into the door, how they sell retail. All of these are great attributes to make you an amazing esthetician, beauty professional in the future. All right. So you always approach a client with a smile. And even when answering the phone, it should be a smile. All right. It should be a smile. You're always going to introduce yourself to new clients and greet returning clients by name. Okay. We do not want to be a number. And remember, you sell expertise and you also sell, all right, experiences. So, how do you make them feel when they come through and you greet them by name? They're saying, oh, I feel amazing. This is my place and she is my person. Okay. And sometimes it's good for you to ask and be prepared about birthdays, special events, celebrate promotions, and ask about the children. All of this helps build a rapport. Okay, so set aside a few minutes to take new clients on a quick tour of the facility, letting them know and just engaging them, broadening their span on what they see just from coming inside, letting them know we have all of these other things available as well. Okay. The client, remember, is paying for your service, they're paying for your expertise. You are to cater to their needs, not yours. All right. Not yours. So you want to refrain from discussing your personal business with the clients. All right. Because they're there for the experience and it's all about them and it's not about us at this moment. All right. So we got to make sure we're professional and we stay in queue. Okay. We're professional, we're being genuine, we definitely do care about them, we want them to return. And so please make sure that there's a love, there's a passion for people because you're going to be dealing with people every day. So if you're not used to dealing with people, it may come off a little rough. So you're going to have to do some mirror practicing. You're going to have to do some practicing because people can feel when you're not genuine, when you just drained, when you just don't want to be here. And those type of people, honestly, me, I don't want you touching me because of the transfer. I got so much going on, I can't take yours on either. So please make sure that in order to build your clientele, you must be approachable. You must have that be attitude, okay? You must have a pleasantry about yourself. You must have forms of kindness about yourself. They call them niceties. And so that's something to practice in every business, not even the business of us doing skincare, beauty. If you want to be successful, you need to practice niceties. Okay. I don't know anyone that's going to support someone who's always rude and mean and just even the look is unapproachable. I'm just going to go somewhere else. Okay. Just it just looks scary. So please make sure that you are doing your part. And this is all about building clientele. And so every year that you grow, these skills are going to grow with you. They're going to grow with you. Okay. And it makes it easy for someone to refer you. As we begin to close out just the intro, tomorrow we will pick up at preparing the client for the facial treatments, okay? And we'll also pick up on some videos, but go ahead, start those check-in questions as the assignment. We got all week to finish this chapter. And this is going to be one of the most effective chapters of your course, okay? Because everything else after this point is going to stem from you adding to the facial treatment, okay? Remember this chapter in order for you to be successful, reach back into chapter 5, skin analysis, reach back into chapter 7, facial treatment room, okay? And then we'll be able to bring all of that together to have a successful chapter 8. And then chapter 8 just is I would say the cherry on top, because everything you learn from now is going to be adjunct to the facial treatment. So now we have the facial treatment and add this and add this and add this. All right. Because the goal is to make sure the skin is in top condition and that we really do care for the skin. So we have to continue to learn about it. It's the largest organ, and that's our case of study. That's our case of study. We ain't worried about nothing else but the skin. So I want you guys to have a great day. This is the intro. Go ahead and start working on your assignment, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed one.